In these videos, we'll learn more about analyzing a text while applying critical thinking. The way you can use this is simple, but not necessarily easy. When you have a text to read and analyze critically, such as a newspaper article, an academic paper, or a study, go through each of these phases by following the guidelines laid out in the videos. By the end of the fourth stage, you should have a very good understanding of the author's central idea, how they have supported their argument with evidence, and what improvements could be made. I will use some fantastic techniques laid out by Jennifer Fletcher in Teaching Arguments, and I will apply this to an article on the potential of psychedelic drugs to treat depression, written by Robin Carhart Harris in The Guardian.
5.
To analyze this article from a critical thinking perspective, I will take it through 4 stages: the believing game, the doubting game, descriptive outlining, and building the argument map with Argumentful. In this video, we'll go through the believing game. Playing the believing game means reading a text with a perspective where we keep a very open mind, and as much as possible try to suspend all judgment. We do this so that we can better understand the author's position before any personal thoughts or opinions jump in our minds. Negative information tends to influence evaluations more strongly than positive one. So starting the analysis of the text with a positive outlook will feel a little strange and perhaps forced, but we will get the chance to doubt the author's position in the next phase. Here are the steps adapted from Jennifer Fletcher's book. Find the central idea. Suspend any personal opinions and judgment. Understand the background. Observe the layout of the article and the way the paragraphs are organized. Note examples provided by the author. Rephrase main arguments. Sum up the central argument. Determine the author's objective. Acknowledge words or phrases used as transitions. See the issue from the writer's point of view. Place confidence in the writer. And clarify key terms. So how did I apply these? I went through the article and read each paragraph carefully. I made notes under each paragraph, rephrasing the author's ideas and looking out for the guidelines listed previously. And here is the result. The author declares their central idea here in the title. There seems to be a potential for psychedelic drugs to treat depression, which can no longer be ignored. This is the intro, where the author makes us aware of the size of the problem of depression, especially within the pandemic crisis. Specific data is listed to support this. 20% spike of number of prescriptions for antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs in the US during the lockdown. Prescriptions have more than doubled in the last decade in the UK, with the demand threatening to exceed supply. These sections make the reader familiar with the author's background and the current status of academic research of psychedelic drugs, with its important application within the mental health realm. We are now more willing to listen and trust the author's claims because he has established authority by describing his background. Otherwise put, he has made an appeal to ethos. Arguments based on character depend on trust. We tend to accept arguments from those we trust, and we trust them partially because of their reputation. This section offers reasons for the increase in interest and investment in the mental health application of psychedelic drugs. More specifically, it provides results from 2 studies. One has shown how magic mushrooms can be used to assist psychotherapy for difficult-to-treat depression. The second compares psilocybin to a conventional antidepressant drug, with preliminary analysis indicating game-changing results. These examples represent supporting evidence for the author's main claim. In these sections, we are offered reasons against conventional drug treatments and psychotherapy. This section shows that the author has taken a wholesome approach to presenting his argument by considering the alternatives and giving reasons for which these alternatives are maybe not the best. Starting with this paragraph, the author is putting together the case for psychedelic therapy as a comprehensive treatment package for mental health. An explanation of what the psychedelic treatment entails is provided. These paragraphs continue the explanation of how the psychedelic therapy impacts the brain, comparing the experience to other extreme states. A description of what people perceive during the therapy is provided. The experience of high connectivity to self and the world, is contrasted to people's descriptions of conventional antidepressant drugs, where people describe feeling emotionally muted. The author wants to be cautious in not disclosing the study's findings before scientific review. However, he does mention antidepressant effects as well as remarkable changes in patients, such as increased quality of life. Further information is provided here regarding the future access to psilocybin therapy in North America and Europe. The author believes that use could scale up before formal licensing, with the most ambitious initiative for phased legalization taking currently place in the US in Oregon. The author makes the point for the importance of aligning these initiatives to the scientific research, both for advancing scientific understanding as well as informing and protecting the individual. An opposing view is considered in this paragraph, since both mental illness and psychedelics have stigma attached to them. Any initiative to include psychedelics in mental health therapies will probably face challenges, more reason for the approach to be a scientific, dispassionate one. In this paragraph, the author informs about the typical Buddhist-like effects of a psychedelic trip, putting them in the pandemic perspective, which might make them even more relevant in these times. The self as illusory, suffering as inevitable, attachment as a common cause of suffering, impermanence as fundamental, and slowing down, contemplation, breath, and community as potent resources. A final paragraph which invites us to further contemplation. The pandemic has made two truths obvious, despite our attempts to escape them. The fact that we all breathe and we all die. This might have become visible to many during the lockdown slowdown. The author predicts that psychedelic therapy might provide the same lessons, but it is still up to us if we decide to listen or not. And as a final review, here are the steps within the believing game.